The old Victorian house stood silent, shrouded in the eerie glow of the streetlights. Its windows, once warm with laughter and light, now stared blankly into the night, reflecting only the secrets held within. The house seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for something, or someone, to break the uneasy stillness. Rain lashed against the windows, the wind howling like a banshee. Each gust rattled the panes, echoing through the empty rooms. The storm outside was relentless, as if nature itself was trying to warn the town of the darkness that had settled over the Carter home. At the front, the oak door stood firm, locked tight. Its heavy frame, once a barrier against the world, now seemed to guard more than just the threshold. It guarded a secret, one that no one in Ridgemont could have imagined. An air of unease clung to the house, a stark contrast to the warmth it usually held. Shadows danced along the walls, and every creak of the floorboard seemed amplified in the silence, as if the house itself mourned the absence of its brightest spirit. This was the home of Emily Carter, a bright, cheerful teenager who had vanished without a trace. Her laughter once filled these rooms, her dreams pinned to the walls of her bedroom. Now her presence lingered only in memories and photographs, leaving her family and friends desperate for answers. On that stormy night, the last message anyone received from Emily was a simple text to her best friend Chloe. It was a message like any other, sent with the casual hopefulness of youth, unaware of the darkness that was about to descend. "Be home soon. Can't wait to tell you about my day," it read. The words, so ordinary, would soon become haunting, a final echo of a voice that would never be heard again. The message was sent at 8:45 p.m. It was a timestamp that would be replayed over and over in the minds of those searching for answers, marking the last known moment of Emily's normal life. Emily was never heard from again. Her room remained untouched, her belongings frozen in time, as if she might walk back in at any moment. But the silence grew heavier with each passing day. What happened after that text? Where did Emily go? The questions echoed through the empty streets, whispered in hushed tones by neighbors and friends alike. These questions haunted the small town of Ridgemont like the storm that raged that night. The community, once close-knit and trusting, now looked over their shoulders, wondering if the answers were closer than they dared to believe. The locked door, a symbol of security, now stood as a chilling reminder of the mystery that unfolded behind it. It was no longer just a barrier to the outside world, but a silent witness to the secrets that would change Ridgemont forever. Emily was a creature of habit. Every day she'd return home from her after-school job at the local library, grab a cup of coffee, and unwind with a good book. Her routine was as predictable as the setting sun, a fact that made her disappearance all the more baffling. On the night she vanished, Emily's routine seemed unchanged. Her boss confirmed she left work at her usual time, 8 p.m. sharp. Neighbors reported seeing her arrive home a few minutes later, her familiar yellow raincoat a beacon in the storm. Inside the house, the evidence painted a picture of a normal evening abruptly cut short. Her phone was plugged in, charging by the sofa. A half-read book lay open on the coffee table. A mug of untouched coffee sat cold, the steam long gone. One detail, however, stood out from Emily's usual routine. Mrs. Peterson, Emily's elderly neighbor, reported seeing an unfamiliar car parked across the street from the Carter house that evening. It was a black sedan, she recalled, sleek and expensive-looking, with tinted windows that hid the driver from view. The car was there when Emily arrived home, Mrs. Peterson said, and it remained there for at least an hour afterward. Then, just as abruptly as it appeared, the sedan vanished into the storm. No one else reported seeing the car, and no one knew who it belonged to. Was this mysterious car connected to Emily's disappearance? Had someone been watching the house, waiting for her return? The black sedan became a central piece of the puzzle, a sinister clue in a case that grew stranger by the day. The police descended on the Carter house, their every move scrutinized by the anxious townspeople. The pressure was on, and every piece of evidence, every whisper, every hunch was meticulously examined. But the more they uncovered, the deeper the mystery became. There were no signs of forced entry, no signs of a struggle. The house was locked from the inside, just as Emily had left it. The only fingerprints found inside belonged to Emily herself, and the only footprints outside were washed away by the relentless rain. Emily's phone, found still charging by the sofa, revealed nothing unusual. Her last text to Chloe was the last message sent or received. The battery, however, was almost drained. A curious detail, the investigators noted. Had Emily intended to return shortly, assuming her phone would have enough charge? Or was this a deliberate act, a way to cover her tracks? The lack of fingerprints, apart from Emily's, added a chilling layer to the investigation. It suggested that whoever was inside the house, if anyone, was either extremely careful or wore gloves, pointing towards a premeditated act. The absence of footprints, save for the washed-away impressions outside, further complicated the picture. The heavy rain, while a nuisance, could not have completely eradicated all traces. This led investigators to believe the perpetrator might have left the scene long before the downpour, or perhaps never even stepped outside. Every clue seemed to raise more questions. Was this a meticulously planned operation, or was the absence of evidence merely a stroke of luck for the perpetrator? The puzzle pieces refused to fit, leaving the investigators grappling with a case that seemed to defy logic. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the lack of leads fueled speculation. The townspeople, hungry for answers, latched onto theories, each more outlandish than the last. The police, however, focused on two main possibilities. Emily had run away, or she had been taken against her will. The runaway theory, while difficult to accept, was not implausible. Emily, despite her cheerful demeanor, had been through a lot. Her mother had passed away a year ago, and her father, consumed by grief, had become distant and withdrawn. Could Emily have run away to escape her sadness? Had the pressure of her grief, coupled with the loneliness of her home life, driven her to seek solace elsewhere? It was a heartbreaking possibility, one that gnawed at the edges of Detective Miller's mind. But then there was the other theory, the one that sent shivers down the spines of even the most hardened detectives. The theory that someone had been inside the house that night, someone who had been waiting for Emily, someone who knew her routines, someone who had taken her away against her will. The locked door, the lack of forced entry, the missing footprints, all pointed towards a chilling possibility. Emily knew her abductor. Had she willingly let them in, or had they somehow gained entry without leaving a trace? The image of the black sedan, lurking in the shadows, fueled this theory. Was the driver watching Emily, waiting for the perfect moment to strike? The thought was almost unbearable, yet impossible to ignore. Years slipped by, and the mystery of Emily Carter's disappearance remained as impenetrable as ever. The case files gathered dust, and the once buzzing police station grew quieter with each passing season. The case went cold, the leads dried up, and the townspeople, though still haunted by the memory of the missing girl, learned to live with the unanswered questions. Emily's face, once seen on every telephone pole and shop window, faded into the background of daily life. People whispered her name less and less, but the ache of her absence lingered in the air, a silent shadow over Ridgemont. Then, out of nowhere, a single postcard arrived at the Ridgemont Police Department, shattering the uneasy peace and throwing the case wide open once more. It was as if the past had reached out, refusing to be forgotten. The postcard was addressed directly to Detective Miller, the lead investigator who had never truly let go of Emily's case, even as the years wore on and hope dwindled. It was a plain white card with a single image on the front, a photograph of a beach, the sand white as bone, the water a startling turquoise blue. The scene was both beautiful and unsettling, as if it belonged to another world entirely. On the back, scrawled in shaky, almost desperate handwriting, were just two words: "Let go." The message was brief, but it carried a weight that was impossible to ignore. The postcard was postmarked from a small, fog-shrouded coastal town hundreds of miles away, a place Emily had never mentioned, a town that held no known connection to her life or the investigation. Its name was unfamiliar, its significance a mystery. Yet something about the postcard, the cryptic message, the haunting beach scene, the timing, felt undeniably like Emily Carter. For Detective Miller, it was a chilling reminder that some mysteries refuse to stay buried, and that the truth might still be out there, waiting to be uncovered. Was this a cruel joke? A morbid prank from someone seeking to reopen old wounds? Or was it something far more sinister? A calculated move meant to unsettle everyone who still remembered Emily Carter's name. Or was it a genuine message from Emily herself, a desperate plea for help, or perhaps a final farewell? The possibilities twisted through the minds of those involved, each one more unsettling than the last. The letter's arrival had shattered the uneasy peace that had settled over the case, stirring up old fears and new suspicions. Detective Miller stared at the postcard, his eyes tracing the outline of the beach, the swirling script of the message. Every detail seemed loaded with meaning, every word a potential clue or a cruel taunt. He wondered if he was missing something obvious, some hidden message only Emily could have left behind. The years melted away, the memories of the case flooding back, the frustration, the guilt, the burning desire to find Emily, to bring her home. He remembered the sleepless nights, the endless interviews, the faces of Emily's family, haunted, desperate, and clinging to hope. The case had never truly left him. The postcard had stirred something in him, a renewed sense of hope, a flicker of determination in the face of overwhelming despair. It was as if Emily herself was reaching out from the shadows, urging him not to give up, not to let her story fade into silence. He knew one thing for sure: he would not let go. No matter how cold the trail, no matter how many years had passed, he owed it to Emily, to her family, and to himself to keep searching. He would not rest until he had uncovered the truth behind Emily Carter's disappearance, no matter where it led him. Each new clue, no matter how small, was a thread he would follow, even if it meant unraveling everything he thought he knew. The locked door, the black sedan, the untouched coffee, the postcard, they were all pieces of a puzzle he was determined to solve. Each object, each memory, was a fragment of a larger story waiting to be revealed. But the biggest question remained: who sent the postcard and what did it mean? Was it a warning, a confession, or a breadcrumb left for him to follow? The uncertainty gnawed at him, fueling his obsession. The answers he hoped would come in time. Until then, every second felt heavy with possibility, every shadow a potential lead. The silence of the night was broken only by the ticking of the clock and the relentless questions in his mind. The search for Emily Carter was far from over. For Detective Miller, it was more than a case. It was a promise he intended to keep, no matter how long it took, or how deep he had to go into the darkness to find the truth.